We can see all the seasons at once this time of year, and gosh, the tropics are still kicking in a big way. Newest update in on Hurricane Ada. Already we're seeing rains like this, flooding like this in portions of Honduras, but get this, we now have 150-mile-per-hour winds. So more scenes like this, more catastrophic flooding, catastrophic damage where that eye eventually comes in. It won't be everyone that gets the rain to see that kind of wind, but some of you will. Very well organized storm. I mean, look at the symmetry on this thing. The eye opened up earlier today. We continue to see that organization right now. Big counterclockwise spin moving its way across the waters of the Western Caribbean and just pumping that moisture into Central America. So we'll talk about the Central American impacts first. Mike will talk more about potential impacts down the road, including to us here in the U.S. But this is the latest update, the latest advisory. Look at these stats, 150 miles per hour. Still category 4, but as upper echelon as it basically gets. Starting to look almost like Cat 5, right? Very well organized, central, dense overcast, very well formed eye. If that eye continues to contract just a little bit more, then those wind speeds will pick up. Think about the ice skater bringing their arms in, picking up that speed. So that's basically the only thing we'd be watching for to get a hint that even more wind speeds on the way. There is also a Hurricane Hunter flight on the way to this area. Imagine flying through this beast at night, mind you. Another view from the satellites shows that approach. It is a slow approach, a slow wing approach. We've gone from 35 miles per hour Saturday at 5 p.m. now to 150 mile per hour winds. It's like a straight up climb. What a change. Talk about rapid intensification. Then we have a 5-day tour of Central America. It's going to take that long to bring this gnarly storm all the way through. So gosh, with that slow movement, that is not hours of rain, but days of rain. First, you have the wind moving the water, 12 to 18 feet of storm surge, and then you have this slow-moving storm raining itself out, added by the higher terrain across the area. So I think some areas are going to be underrepresented on this map. I think, Mike, we're going to see some areas, especially in those higher terrains to the northern coast here, could see 2 to 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet of rainfall. I mean, this is going to be a disaster across portions of Central America.
It could rival some of the all-time worst hurricanes we have ever seen in Central America, and that is saying something, folks. But then we look downstream. What could Ada do beyond Central America? It is not out of the realm of possibility. It could maybe even have an effect on the U.S., maybe even Florida. There's the look, the European ensemble track, which has it kind of meandering quite a bit over the course of the next day, next 7 days to 10 days, I should say. And it may reemerge right back out over the Caribbean and affect Cuba or even Florida. What's going on here? High pressure is dominating the Gulf of Mexico right now. This is why it's been somewhat pulled to the west, but then it's going to stop because the high pressure is going to block it at this point and won't have much more of a path westward. So it's probably going to go more northward and then maybe even get pushed more back to the east here over time. So ultimately, we're keeping a very close eye on what that ridge of high pressure does. Maybe as we go very far in the future, we're talking a week plus from now, will that trough be a player? Will that trough pull it off to the north here? We don't know quite yet. It's a long way away, but you take a look at what the models have been hinting at for the last couple of days is coming into Central America, weakening pretty significantly, doing a lot of damage there, wind damage, flooding, storm surge, coming back out, Saturday over the Caribbean, still warm water there, still a fairly favorable atmosphere for re-intensification. Look how much more intense it gets 8 days from now south of Cuba. Then it may slowly drift to the north. You take a look at what the GFS model is predicting, somewhat similar conditions, weakening over Central America, interacting with that land and those mountains coming back out over the Caribbean. Intensity might be a little bit weaker here, and it may actually be in a fairly similar place, though. So when you have two models that are indicating something happening at about the same time in the same place, you can't disregard that. I know that that's 8 days away. It's a long way out, but you can't disregard it. By the way, Ada, our 12th hurricane of the season, tying with 1969, 2005, and 2010.